Welcome to the Modern Day Cottage. I'm Emily Ryder and this is my daughter, Ruby Ann. Today we're going to share with you how to make pumpkin puree, and we're going to use two different varieties of pumpkin. The first one is a Summerdale pumpkin. It originates from a western town in Australia named Summerdale. So that is where this one comes from, and it closely resembles the Queensland blue, but it is not the Queensland blue. And they range from anywhere between 5 pounds to 15 pounds, some upwards in the 20 pounds. This one is a 13-pound pumpkin. The next variety we're doing is a sugar pie variety, and this one is 4 pounds. This one originates back in the 1860s from the Americas. And they grow in subtropical and tropical climates, as well as this one. And these are, they derive from the family Puree. The Puree family is your melon, gourds, your cucumbers, and your squashes. And they're actually not vegetables, they're actually fruit. So, you know, a good way to get your fruit, pumpkin pie. A good excuse. All right, we're gonna start by turning the oven on to 400 degrees. If you have a convection oven, turn down your temperature 25 degrees. So that's what I'm gonna go do now, is I'm gonna go ahead and turn it on. All right, so I've got the oven on to 400, and we are going to cut these pumpkins up. But the first pumpkin we're gonna show you is we're gonna do it a way that, like, let's say you're not comfortable using a knife, to the point of cutting this pumpkin up, because you know you can slip your hand, so be very, very, very careful. A tip: use a towel underneath your pumpkin when you're cutting it up on your cutting board, and always use sharp knives. A dull knife in a kitchen is more dangerous than a sharp knife. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to show you a way to do it without using a knife to cut it all the way open. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to knock off the stem. All right, so you're gonna knock off the stem. So now you have kind of a, you know, your flesh is showing right there. So you're gonna make a vent hole in the top of this. So you're gonna take your knife and you're gonna poke a vent hole in it. Move your hand out of the way. Okay, then safely remove it. All right, so now you've got a vent hole in there. So you can go ahead and just roast this hole like this in the oven. It's gonna take a little bit longer because you didn't cut it open. Okay, so you're gonna put this in the oven hole, and you're gonna make sure that there's enough. Don't let this touch the baking element at the top. That could cause a fire, so don't do that. So you want enough space in between the baking element and the pumpkin, since it is whole. And you're gonna bake it probably for 60 minutes to a little bit on the far side of an hour and a half when you've got it this big. But what we're gonna do today is we're gonna cut it in half, because we don't have an hour and a half to wait for this whole pumpkin to roast. So I'm going to show you how we're going to do it by cutting it in half, laying it on a baking tray with a piece of parchment paper, and put it in the oven to roast, and then we'll show you how to make pumpkin puree once it is cooked. Also, we're going to be cooking this Summerdale pumpkin. It is 13 pounds, and this one is nearly 5 pounds. So also price comparison. Here locally, they're $4.98 for this pumpkin. And for this pumpkin, it was $9.98, but you get 3 times the amount with the Summerdale pumpkin than you did for the sugar pie pumpkin. So you get more for the Summerdale pumpkin. And we'll also compare the taste profiles as well and the texture for both pumpkins. So stay tuned for that. Also, another pro tip in the kitchen: if you will put a cloth underneath your cutting board, it won't slide around. Don't use a smooth cloth. You want like a kitchen cloth that's kind of got texture. So and you can also wet this too. If you just make it damp, a little damp. All right, so you can put that underneath your cutting board. and that keeps it from sliding around as much without it. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this into half. Always place a knife away from you and always go down, don't go up. All right, now that we have it cut, you should be able to just pry it open like that. All right, now you're gonna wanna scrape out the seeds and this flesh. Don't throw away the seeds because these make an excellent roasted pumpkin seed snack that we're gonna have afterwards. All right, now we're going to scoop out the insides into a bowl and we're gonna save the seeds. We'll wash those and strain off the pulp. And then we'll feed the pulp to the chickens out in their little chicken pasture. So you wanna scrape this. You can use a spoon like we're doing, or you can use a ice cream scoop. We have the sugar pie pumpkin cut in half, and this was nearly a 5-pound pumpkin. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna use a baking sheet. This is our baking sheet. And this is our parchment paper on the baking sheet, because it will burn if you don't use a parchment paper, and it does changes the flavor profiles of it if it burns. So don't burn it. If you need to turn down the oven a little bit too, depending on how your oven reacts, that is fine. Slow and steady wins the race. We're going to turn it over face down onto the right. It kind of steams itself within it. Ruby Ann and I cleaned both of them, the cavities out, and we have the seeds behind us with the pulp, and we're going to clean that next. If you're using these for soups or savory dishes, you can drizzle olive oil in it and coat it and then turn it upside down. It makes a delicious result with that. We're going to put this to the side. Now we've got that ready to go into the oven, and we're going to cut up the Summerdale pumpkin and clean out the inside of it as well. Okay, so we're gonna cut the Summerdale pumpkin. All right, so it still has a stem on it. What you could do is you could hold there and cut away from you. All right, so look at that beautiful flesh in that pumpkin. Oh, it actually smells sweeter. Okay, so we're going to clean out the insides of this pumpkin. So we're gonna clean out the seeds and the pulp so we can roast that with the sugar pie pumpkin. We grew this pumpkin last year, and we had 2 vines, and it produced 18 pumpkins off of 2 vines. Ruby Ann and I cut up both the Summerdale pumpkin, and we already cut up the sugar pie pumpkin as well. This is nearly a 5-pound sugar pie pumpkin, and this one is 13 pounds of the Summerdale pumpkin. And we both have our favorite so far by smell is the Summerdale pumpkin. But we'll see once we get it cooked. And oh, and another thing to mention is we noticed the Summerdale pumpkin was not as stringy as the sugar pie pumpkin. All right, so we're gonna go and put it in the oven. We've got it preheated at 400, and we're gonna let it bake until it's totally roasted and soft on the inside. Summerdale pumpkin's gonna take a little bit longer, and the sugar pie pumpkin is gonna take a lot less time, so we may get that out sooner. All right, so we're gonna go to the oven and let it roast. We would love for you to click the subscribe button below, and don't forget to click the bell for notifications when we release new content. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. Thank you for watching our video, and thank you for your support. We appreciate each and every one of you. We have let the pumpkin cool. This is the sugar pie pumpkin, and we have the Summerdale pumpkin over here to the side, but we're going to go ahead and do the sugar pie pumpkin first. So you'll see that the skins just pull right away. Very easy, no peeling. The skins just come off that easy. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to put it in a food processor. You can use a blender. We're going to show you that as well. And you can just mash it up with a potato masher. You can add it to the Vitamix warm. It doesn't have to be cold to the touch. But we're adding this to a KitchenAid food processor right now. So Ruby Ann and I are going to do that. We're going to use the food processor until it's very smooth texture. It's very smooth consistency, and that's what you want. You can also put this in a cheesecloth strainer overnight, and it will strain out a lot of liquid. But you can also cook it down on the stove if you don't want it as liquidy as it is. But this doesn't seem to be too liquidy at all. It is a little bit more runnier than canned pumpkin, but not by much. If you'd like to get some of the moisture out of it, you can do the cheesecloth bag overnight. Some tips if you'd like to store this and freeze it, because you're going to make a lot with a 4-pound pumpkin. You can take a mason jar and put a baggie inside of it and take out 1 cup of pumpkin puree that you have just made. You can do it in 1 cup increments. This is a tip that I do for cooking, because you never need over a cup sometimes for recipes, but if you do, it's in 1 cup increments and there's nothing lost or wasted. All right, so you're gonna do that and you're gonna put it into the jar. Okay. Then you're gonna take the bag out. And what I do is I use a gallon baggie, and I've put several of these baggies into the 1 gallon baggie. So what I'll do is kind of flatten it out and just kind of fold it over and over. Kind of lay it flat. And I do several of those. I put them into a gallon size freezer baggie like this. And you want to make sure you label it as well. Put the date and what it is in it. And then you can freeze this for up to 6 months. Some people say 3 months, but I have done well with up to 6 months in the freezer. You just want to use it before it gets any kind of frostbite on it. Now we're going to puree the Summerdale pumpkin in the Vitamix. So you want to peel the peeling off. This should just peel off. Start on low and then increase to 10. If you have a Vitamix, so you're going to start at 1, and then we're going to go up until we get a very, very smooth consistency. This is the consistency that you get with the Vitamix blender. We love our Vitamix blender. All right, we're going to taste test the Summerdale pumpkin and the sugar pie pumpkin. And this is the Summerdale pumpkin, and this is the sugar pie pumpkin. That is really good. The sugar pie pumpkin has more of a tart taste. Let me try it
This
again.
tastes more like canned pumpkin.
That is phenomenal. The Jardale, like this has an after bite. Any links below that you click on, they are affiliate links of ours. We do make a small commission at no cost to you. All right, today we made puree with two different pumpkins, the sugar pie pumpkin and with the Jardale pumpkin. We like the consistency of the Jardale pumpkin versus the sugar pie pumpkin. Thank you for watching with us today here at the Modern Day Cottage. And as always, we will bring homemade recipes, cottage living, and a cozy home. We'll see you in the next video.